Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome. There's a message coming through that I feel is going to be very important for those that it resonates with, but it's not going to be for everyone. This message has to do with connecting to the past in some way in order to bring through something important around the future. I'm going to begin this reading by just sharing something that came through around an image of a tree. Now, this tree was very full. It had a really thick trunk and branches. It looked like the sort of tree that would have taken many years to grow the way that it was. I was then shown underneath the ground where this tree was, and I was shown the roots. And the roots were interesting because half of the roots were going in one direction and the rest of them were going in the other direction, in a completely different direction. And as I was shown the roots, the tree started to disappear. Not just the leaves, but the whole tree, including the trunk. So for me, that felt like it was talking about or describing or showing me a situation where perhaps the roots were the person or a person or two people going in different directions, and what had been growing, maybe a connection between them or a person and something they'd been growing, disappearing because of this parting of ways. So that is not altogether unusual. This happens a lot where two people can be growing something together for a long time, maybe even years or however long, and then they can go in separate ways and look back on it and it can be gone, disappeared, just a memory. I didn't think that was, so unusual, but what I did take notice of was what came next, and that was an image of the ground again with a whole lot of leaves over it. And the reason I thought that was relevant and important was because leaves, of course, come from trees. And I thought about leaves and how they fall from trees in autumn and how the trees they don't disappear like the tree in the vision. The trees are just, they're bare, okay? They're just branches. It made me wonder if there is something about the tree that had disappeared in that first image, it disappearing being an illusion. Is there something about its energy still being there perhaps? And the other thing that came through to me was that I also got an image of the ground where the leaves were, and I was shown underneath the ground with the soil and these leaves and how they would feed into the soil, how they would break down and feed into the soil. And it made me think about how there is this energy of these leaves and how they really continue to exist, but they just change form and become nutrients for the soil. And I was thinking about there being a message there. Is there something about the energy being left behind here and feeding into something? And I got a big confirmation as I was thinking about that. So I feel like there is a message around some sort of residual energy or some type of energetic connection to this time or place or whatever was going on there for you in this connection to this tree message. Now, what does the tree represent for you? I'm not entirely sure. It feels to me like for many of you, this is some type of connection. What type of connection? I'm not sure about that. Could be any type. It could even be something you were growing at some point. But what I do want to do this point of the reading is put a trigger warning here, because for some of you, you may not want to reconnect with any messages around this connection. So I'm not quite sure what's going to come up in the reading, whether there will be messages around a relationship or connection that has gone from your life that you're not interested in hearing about, but a little trigger warning here just in case that's something that you wouldn't like to engage in. And of course, even if you do decide to move forward with the reading, I'd just like to remind you that of course you can always click out at any time if anything comes up that feels uncomfortable for you or you're just not interested, and you can connect again with us at any reading that you want to. Just do what feels right for you. But I just wanted to put that trigger warning in out of respect for anyone who may be feeling a little bit sensitive to messages to do with anyone from the past, because I'm not quite sure what Spirit wants to talk about here, but I do know there is something around the past coming up. So let's move into this reading and see what wants to come through. I've got this deck, actually both of the decks are by the wonderful creator Ashley Cook. This one here is the Archives of Nature. I felt like that would be a great deck to use because the kind of energy coming through is to do with words like organic and garden and spade, and fertilizer is another word that came in. So let's give the cards a shuffle and see what wants to come out here. What is the message around this? I'm getting the word sorry coming in. The word no just came in layered on top of it. I actually don't feel like it's no sorry. I feel like it's sorry, and the no on top is important, that it's on top. Memory. Okay, memory. What's on the bottom? Completion. All right, something around memory. Let's get a few cards on the table here. When I just said sorry and no on top, I feel like there is something around perhaps somebody feeling that we're never going to get a sorry. That won't be for everyone. It's almost like a sense of something not being just, but I'm not expecting a sorry. Okay, let's just see what we've got. Ace of Wands. Yeah, actually that does not surprise me coming up, because one of the things that I was feeling here is that when you moved into that energy of the forking, the roots of the tree, that there was a lot of energy. Like you moved forward with a lot of physicality, a lot of physical energy towards whatever it was you were doing. 8 of Cups, and here Wheel of Fortune. And on the bottom, 5 of Cups. Yeah. 8 of Cups and completion. You know, I want to flag 2 more words here, collective, in this reading. And I'm just going to flag them now, and I'm not going to talk about them too much because they're just kind of coming through as flagged words. One of the words is treasure. The other word is table. I'm not quite sure if table is to do with table as in here, or table as in when we talk about tables in geology, like tables in the ground. So you've got 8 of Cups, which can be this energy of walking away. We've got this 5 of Cups, disappointment, the Wheel of Fortune. And yet I feel like Spirit is saying there is something of value for you connected to that time and place. Do you know what I feel here, collective. I feel that for some of you, there was fast movement in a new direction away from whatever it was that this tree represents for you individually. And yes, there was completion around it. Or was there completion at the time? Or is this representing completion now? This completion may be to do with now, because I feel like you moved away from it at the time, and that there is something about this walking away with some level of disappointment and maybe feeling like things didn't end in a balanced way, with that message of the sorry and the no layering over it, but not sharing that disappointment with anybody. It feels to me like this was a very internal process, something you kept to yourself. Why was that? Why was that? It's like, particularly with memory there, it's like holding on to it. But now with the wheel having turned, I feel like that's why Spirit is coming through with this message now, to say there has been a shift and that you now have reached a point of completion. This really has closed out, okay, which might be why that double layer of that tree with the trunk came through. Remember I said, is it really there or is it really not there? Maybe it always felt like it was lingering because you were carrying this disappointment. Regeneration. Oh, wow. Yes. So this energy is finally ready for you to be regenerated. And so what I feel has happened here is there is something about that cycle, whatever that tree represents, whether it was a connection or whether it was something that you were building, that was lingering in your energy because you, for many of you, it won't be this story for all of you, but there was something about it that never really closed out for you because there was some sort of disappointment around it, but you didn't share it with others. I feel like this Ace of Wands, and I want to get another card on that. This Ace of Wands is representing you moving forward with a lot of enthusiasm and energy. Tell me more about that. And so because you had this internal energy here for some of you, now look at that, you were getting stuff done. Externally, you have been the magician. You've been doing stuff. You've been manifesting things into your world. But there has on some level been some sort of connection to this past energy. And I feel like Spirit is coming through to say that finally this has closed out and you are able now to tap into some sort of energy that was connected to a past situation and to draw on that and pull that into your magician's toolbox here. Okay, treasure. That's what that treasure is. Onto the table, onto the magician's table. You are able to tap into this energy now and pull it into your magician's, what does a magician have? A bag? A box? I'm not quite sure. You are able to put it onto the table. That's why the table was coming up. Pull it from the earth onto the magician's table. From the table to the table. That's what it is. Regeneration from the earth to the table. Oh my goodness. Okay. What have we got? 5 of Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles. What is going on here? Sorry, 3 of Pentacles. Why am I saying 5 of Pentacles? 3 of Pentacles. Do you know what? I think, let me just put that there for a second. The Fool, new beginning, 3 of Pentacles. Something has shifted here, okay, collective? This message felt so hugely important to me as I was getting ready to do it. And I actually had to go out just a little while ago and I was starting this reading beforehand and I got interrupted and I thought, no, I need to come back and do it after I'm back home so I can really give it the space that it needs here. This 3 of Pentacles, there is some big shift here that is occurring and I feel like you were going through some sort of internal healing here and processing of your emotions. It could have even been going on for a very long time where you were carrying some residual energy from this connection that was just lingering with you for a very long time that you weren't necessarily sharing with your outer world, this memory that was just holding on. And I feel like Spirit is saying, you know what, this has finally transformed for you. Now there is something else coming through and it's kind of tapping on the back of my head here. Let me just sit with that. I need one more of these. Why did it sit with you for so long? Why? This might not be important, but it might be. So I just want to just ask about that. Why? Okay. Reasoning. Okay, so were you trying to work out what was going on with this? Were you trying to understand it? So maybe there was something here, and I don't usually take reversals, so I'm going to turn it up. But I feel like, collective, there was something about you trying to understand this, something you were holding on to, trying to understand. Some of you may even have been trying to understand it in terms of how did this happen. There could have even been some level for a few of you, and only take it if it really resonates with you, but there could have even been something around some sort of self-blame, or I need to understand, how did this happen? What part did I play in it? Or why did I was about to say, why did I allow this to happen? And you could have been wondering these things even if the ending of the connection or whatever happened had absolutely nothing to do with you. Because from the looks of these cards, you may have spent some time just trying to work out how things ended or why things ended. And we can't always understand other people's reasoning or other people's behaviours. Some of you could have even had thoughts like that happening in your head, and now you have come to understand that you can release this. This is not about you. This was never about you. Whatever happened here played out for whatever reason it did, depending on your unique circumstances. I'm not really going into that. I'm not being called to go into that. The tree is not what's calling me in this reading. I feel like Spirit is saying that that is part of the whole story here, that the wheel has turned and there is something about this that you have come to understand here. That energy has been returned and dealt with, and it's turned into something else. It's regenerated. Okay, that energy has now transformed into something much better, something that is useful to you. It is not, let's ask about that. It's like, I'm not quite sure why you were spending time with this or why it was keeping you in its energy. And I don't feel like we're really being called to explore that, but we will just pull a card on it for anyone who maybe feels like that will be helpful. Why was the reasoning such a big part of this? Why was the reasoning such a big part of this? You may have been trying to understand what happened here. Page of Swords, yeah, once again, very connected to reasoning. And Eight of Swords. You may have felt like I need to understand it to prevent it happening again. Like I can't move forward until I understand what happens, what happened. You know, I'm trapped here in this Eight of Swords. I can't move forward. But there is something now about that having changed, that has shifted. You're no longer caught in that cycle. You have released it. This energy has regenerated. And Spirit is coming through to say that you have pulled this energy, you have pulled it from the table to your table as the Magician. And this is coming through as a confirmation with that. Where's that Fool? Did we put it back in the deck? But the Fool was on the table. I know you all saw it. So the Fool is coming through as that big confirmation for you that there is this new cycle starting with this new powerful energy. This cycle has finally closed out for you. For many of you, this is a confirmation that something that was really painful, that kept you feeling stuck, and in a world that you may have been keeping very much to yourself and not sharing with others, whilst others were looking at you and saying, look at what collective is manifesting, look at what collective is building here. And you certainly were with these two cards getting stuff done, but you had in the back of your mind this memory, and you had in the back of your mind this puzzle that you were trying to solve. Spirit is saying that has finally transformed, that has finally regenerated, and now you are attracting these. Not that you are not attracting, but now you are finally attracting with your full potential. You are bringing in to your full capacity here, okay? Without anything holding you back, without any memory calling you back to it, without anything saying, hey, you need to solve this. You need to be thinking about this. You are not caught in that anymore. And so I hope that that is helpful to you. I'm just going to get, to close this out, a couple of last cards. Let's just see. Let me just see which ones. I feel like there's something that wants to come through here. I'm going to get the Metatron cards here because they're on my table. I absolutely love your cards here. What have we got? Emotional well-being, water. Let's get one more for you. So you may have been feeling like, you know what, I'm doing great. I'm creating all this fire. I'm the magician, this earth. You know, the magician does have all the elements there, but there could have been something that just kept you feeling like emotionally underneath it all. I've got this thing that just keeps nagging at me, that keeps pulling at me. And now you have it all in balance. I like that one. What else have we got? Ancestors, appreciation and healing. You know what this is making me feel as well with the ancestors? There could have even been something to do with this particular connection. Could have had to do with family for a few of you, but also even if it wasn't to do with family, there could have been something connected to family that it was bringing up for you, okay? So there could have been stories that you were telling yourself or things that you felt you had to solve that had to do with patterns in your family or something that took you back through your line. And I feel like your ancestors are coming through here. It's interesting because I was thinking of doing an ancestor read soon, so let me know if you're interested in that. But there could be something around ancestral patterns here, something about feeling like you have to solve it to move forward, feeling like I take on responsibility for relationships or other people's patterns or things that happen in relationships. Like I can't move forward in a new relationship until I work out what happened here in a past relationship. And sure, it's great to examine and to understand what happens, but we can't always understand every little thing that somebody else does. It's not always possible. We can only ever really understand ourselves. And I feel like you have gone above and beyond in that. And maybe you were keeping yourself a little bit in a holding pattern, trying to understand all the intricacies of not only your own self, but other people's patterns. And this could be an ancestral thing that's gone on. It could be a family pattern. I feel like your ancestors are coming through as well to say that they're really proud of you here. So I'm going to leave you with that today. I hope it was helpful. I feel like this reading came through very powerfully. Also, trees connect with ancestors as well, which is interesting there too. I think I will do an ancestor reading soon. Okay, sending you lots of love. Thank you for being here. And yeah, that's all I've got for today. See ya.